Up to a comparatively recent time, critical situations were more or less isolated. One group, one structure might come into emergency, but the rest of the world went along. Now, however, the emergency is one emergency. One critical situation threatens us, and out of it must come the only solution, as we well realize and have realized for years, namely world solution. The rapid increase in communication, transportation, the wide-flung diffusion of knowledge have altogether brought this world into a very close pattern. And it is no longer possible for one part to be involved in a struggle for existence, and the other parts remain tranquil observers of the situation.
I continue, the time spoken of by Isaiah the prophet has come. It is a time when the learned intellectual cannot read the book because it is sealed as Greek to them, nor the unlearned because he is unlettered. Yet shall the book be unsealed, because the ancient arcane wisdom applies to the individual who is willing to work in obedience to the cryptic law in his personal quest of the Holy Grail, in drinking of the cup of unselfishness, in his love for his neighbor and the stranger within his gates, in his loyalty to his family and his country, and his stubborn but holy insistence that destiny's prophecy shall not be set aside. So on the one hand, they talk about the brotherhood of man, about equal rights for all, about love for his neighbor and the stranger within his gates, the loyalty to his family and his country. And at the same time, these lying, deceiving manipulators are destroying the country. They're destroying the family. Oh yes, ladies and gentlemen, this comes out of the mysteries and nowhere else. And they believe that they are the master race and will ultimately destroy all other races and prevail as the rulers of the world. In any case, they are liars, deceivers, and manipulators, the scum of the earth. They are the destroyers. Each and every one may be the fortunate heir to this glorious inheritance, but must seek the white stone which crowns the pyramid within himself by the full development of his body, mind, spirit, and soul, the holy trinity of each son of man who has become the Son of God. And there is the clue to what they intend. Man will become God. Man himself will become Christed, and that is what they mean by the return of Christ to this earth. Not a physical man of divine origin, God incarnate in the flesh, coming on the clouds, as the Bible describes. But man himself will become Christed, and as humankind becomes Christed, and the chaff is weeded out from the wheat, which is them, and destroyed from the earth, all other races, they will prevail, and Christ will be upon the earth in them. It is in this manner that America will realize her destiny as the city set upon a hill, a star that shall never set, but become the light that shall light the world, because the true church of the eternal Christos, the Christ within man, for whom there is travail in birth until Christ be formed in you, man, shall have become established and be the sanctuary for all her people. This is what the Mormon church teaches. It is just another branch of Mystery Babylon, perverted by this hidden agenda of the master race, the Anglo-Aryan master race, incarnate in British Israelism, world Zionism, and if you're Jewish, you had better reject it. It's not about saving or preserving the state of Israel. It's about creating a one-world government, and Orthodox Jews, along with fundamentalist Christians, or any Christian for that matter, who will not renounce Christ as a divine incarnate of God in the flesh upon this earth. Any follower of the prophet Muhammad, anyone who will not bow down to this new religion will be destroyed. will be destroyed.
Consequently, we can build our own religion. We can build a religion that is large enough to include the faiths of all men. We do not need to disturb these people. We do not need to make religious trouble for them. But because of the motion of our world, we are gradually dividing into two groups of human beings. Those who are trying to grow and those who are trying desperately to cling to something old, which they love and venerate, which is their right, but which may bring upon them a certain suffering because it is not adequate to their present need. Therefore, these people are sick, they are miserable, and they are frightened. Their only solution in nature is to achieve the end they were intended to achieve, that fear shall be the spur which will lead them to a further unfoldment of consciousness. For the only answer to fear is consciousness unfolding faith. If we sense this, we realize that underneath all the doubts and fears and anxieties that we may have, there is this vast movement of life, which cannot fail, can never be less than itself, is untouched by the political speculations of anybody, is not primarily concerned with whether capital, labor, or management dominates a situation. A pattern which does not recognize east, west, north, or south. It recognizes only one thing, namely that it is growing up through the vast order of creation which it has fashioned, and that all things that live are the instruments of its own purpose, and that what we call our consciousness is our power to be aware because of the universal power in ourselves, the universal power in all other things. If we simply take this, we then know beyond any question of doubt that our shadows in space will not be less, that all these things that come and go are merely conditions in the ultimate purpose, and that ultimate purpose is the victory of consciousness over every existing or conceivable lack of itself, or the victory for man in a more immediate sense, the victory of his own consciousness over the darkness of his own ignorance. And to give him the power to do this, one of the old Rosicrucian writers said, "The sovereign power and majesty has given man 3 sacred books, by means of which he might discover the mystery of himself. One of these books is the universe. The second is his own body, with its functions and powers. And the third is the sacred scripture of his people. And these 3, if worked together, form the same blending of religion, philosophy, and science, and give us the foundation for a simple natural faith, a faith which is sustained by progress, never offended by progress. For if true progress offends us, our faith is wrong. We must be prepared to meet more knowledge than we have ever known before. And we must meet it with a greater capacity to transform knowledge into consciousness, in order that this growth of consciousness may always bring us peace, a peace arising from our realization of the essential goodness of the plan and the power behind the plan.